Show my video, Miss Fox. Can you turn it up a little bit?
Somebody stole them.
Did you not tell them that they were the Lord's sheep?
I was trying to.
You are useless, Ignacio.
Silence, brothers.
This is the worst lunch I ever had.
Your only job is to cook. Do you not realize I have had diarrhea since Easter?
Okay. Maybe I am not meant for these duties. Cooking duty. Dead guy duty. Maybe it's time for me to get a better duty.
One of my favorite meals, one of my favorite movies. About halfway through my burger, I remembered that old man. This is the worst lunch I have ever had. But anyway, all right, so my neighbors sent me this picture. I want, if you can, Mrs. Fox, show my next picture. I thought this was amazing. My neighbors, they're special people. Now, I just want to leave it right there and see if you catch anything. When they sent it to me, immediately I saw it. Maybe I'm CIA level like they are. I don't know. But the name plates for the people are all, this is the president's cabinet. They're all facing him. Every time you've ever seen that, your nameplate faces your chair. But my neighbors, they probably get assassinated for telling it. They said, I don't think he can remember their names. I have never seen that before in my whole life, where people's names are facing anyway. This is sad, man. It's sad. But anyway, it's all planned. So I thought of something today to try to help explain what I believe. And tonight's going to be something. Chapter 17 and 18 of Revelation is amazing. And tonight I hope I can do it justice. But I want to tell you a story. And maybe the story will help you remember what I believe. And this is a story of a kindergarten class. And what if you take a kindergarten class of 30 kindergartners and you take one student out of the class and you teach him 1 + 1 is 2. And 2 + 2. Does everybody know what 2 + 2 is? No, man, you people. So 2 + 2 equals 2. And I can prove it to you. So the daddy 2 and mama 2 make a baby 2. Now, let me show you. Let me show you this. 8 take away 4 is what? What is it? No, it's not 4. It's 8. You got 8. You take away the 4, and you got 8. It's pretty simple now. Y'all's going to have to wise up. So my point is, you got a kindergarten class. You got 30 students. You're teaching them their colors and they're taking naps and whatever. But you take one student out and you teach him 1 + 1 = 2. And when he really gets it down, you introduce him back into the class. Is that student smarter than the other 29 students? Why do you say no? Well, they don't know 1 + 1 = 2.
Maybe they learned other stuff while he was just learning one.
They took him out of the class and they taught him stuff that the rest of them weren't getting. The rest of them was learning colors and shapes and how to tie their shoes. He comes back in the class and he knows 1 + 1 = 2. Is he smarter? No, I don't think so. He's not smarter, but he's more learned. He's more knowledgeable. We are as smart as our information. And that doesn't make him smarter or more capable of learning. He's just been introduced to stuff that they haven't been. So we're only as smart as our information. So that little boy could stay in kindergarten for year after year after year. And forever he would be looked at by the other kindergartners as brilliant. But one of those 29 first students that was with him goes through elementary, junior high, high school, gets a diploma and comes back to the class. On the board, he works a very simple algebraic problem and blows their little minds. Is he smarter than the boy that stayed that knows 1 + 1 = 2? And is he vastly smarter than the other students who just entered the kindergarten class? Now you're afraid to answer. No, he's not. He's just had now 12 years of instruction that the other kids don't have. So you're only as smart as your information. But an algebraic question would be so far advanced and above that of a kindergartner's grasp, they could not comprehend it. And I believe the kindergartners would not even believe it. I believe they would say, that's wrong. You can't add numbers with letters. That's what I said as a freshman in high school. I think they would think that's wrong, and I think they would think that he was trying to trick them. So, go a little bit further, and a PhD in quantum physics could come to the high school graduate and blow his mind. Is he smarter than the high school graduate? No. Is he smarter than the kindergartners? No. He has just spent not 12 years learning and receiving information, but 12 years high school, 4 years bachelor, at least 2 years master's, 2 years for PhD, and probably 2 years in some specialty. That would be 22 years of information. Now, we tend to think, well, they're smarter. No, we're as smart as our information. The problem with a lot of people is they've never been given much information. So, now the PhD would blow the mind of the high school grad for sure. But I don't think the high school graduate would respond the same way as the kindergartners did to the high school graduate, because he wouldn't doubt or think that he was being tricked. After 12 years of learning and knowledge, he would have learned enough by this point to know that there's more to learn. That's the way God intends for us to come to His Word. Admitting we do not know it all, and we don't expect, and we should expect the Holy Spirit to teach us something every time we open His Word. Now, if you think you know it all and you can't learn, you're a kindergartner. So, I feel sorry for the little guy that stayed in kindergartner class. He couldn't leave and go on and learn more. He would lose his status as the most brilliant kindergartner. He wouldn't be admired by the other kindergartners. And that's precisely what I believe is wrong with most churches in the world today. They never continue to learn, and they're only as smart as the information they're given. My prayer for you is that you never stop learning, never stop seeking, never stop looking. And if you're in a church and the pastor is a grown kindergartner, get out of it. I don't care if your grandma bought the hymnals. You're stifling you and your family. So, I want to say this one thing and then we'll get to it. The human being has always been the smartest being on the planet. Would everybody agree to that? Sure. Now, we're not the strongest. A silverback gorilla is, some say 10, some say 20. I'd probably say 50 times as strong as the strongest man. We're not the fastest, by no means. And we're not the toughest. But we are the smartest. We're the smartest hands down. But the first edition AI robot is 1,000,000 times faster than the smartest human being that's ever lived. What is this world going to look like when the human being is not the smartest being anymore? Well, I think you're at the end of the human race. I think it's about to be over. So, let's get into this and see how far we get. Chapter 16 we just left is the seals. It's the wrath of God. And the earth, by the end of the sixth seal, is totally destroyed. I don't think most people have taken the time to read it. Remember, the sun is scorching everybody, and then God starts throwing 100-pound rocks at people. And then there's an earthquake that levels everything. It changes the topography of the earth. What does that mean? What is New York City going to look like? What are these massive cities going to look like? It's the end of the world. So, you would expect chapter 17 to be the seventh seal and the return of Jesus Christ. But it's not. Chapter 17 and 18 is another parenthetical description of the whole tribulation 7 years. It's an interlude. That people don't catch it. They're just reading 16. They expect 17. And they think it's in chronological order, and it is not. 17 and 18 does not come after 16, chapter 16. At the end of chapter 16, the world is destroyed. Jesus comes back in Revelation 19. But 17 and 18 is another look at another angle of the 7-year period, specifically about a religious system and a city. And that's what we'll look at tonight. So, chapter 17 doesn't pick up from chapter 16. It starts over to explain another aspect of the 7-year period. So, here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to read chapter 17 without stopping, okay? That's going to be hard for me, but I'm going to do it. Because then we're going to go back and break it down. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me. Notice, I've already stopped. Notice, he's not pouring out the 7th vial. He's just showing him something else. You guys, hang in there. You guys are not in kindergarten, man. This church is an anomaly. Look around the room. Let me tell you this. I don't know of any other pastor in this area that would teach you this. Some of them, because they don't know, they're in kindergarten and they're afraid to leave. They like taking naps and, being the hero. Secondly, the rest of them wouldn't have the guts. Because what I'm going to say is not politically correct. But you guys are the only friends I got left. Well, I'm going to tell you. I mean, you don't have to believe it, but you're going to be hard not to believe it. Watch. And he talked to me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgments of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Okay? With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon, the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they beheld the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, and even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are people, and multitudes of people, and nations of people, and of different tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest, pay attention, is that great city. So the woman is a great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Okay, now, you're sitting there like this is quantum physics, and it's not. We're going to break it down. So I'm going to ask Peggy to come and do my writing, because I think it'd take too long for me to do both, and you may be able to read it better if she does it. Revelation 17, verse 1. We're going to find all of these identifiers from the Holy Spirit and then try to figure out what city this is, okay? Now, and there came one of the 7 which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Okay, first of all, if you will, Peggy, write on there, great whore. It's a great whore. It's a woman. And a woman that's a whore will do the most intimate things with you, with people, for gain of some kind. They call prostitutes whores. Women that do sexual things and are intimate with people for money or gain, money, wealth, power, gifts, or maybe your sugar daddy pays your rent, or gives you cash, or pays for your car, etc., etc. That's a whore. But she gets something for it. Now, this woman is a religious system, because in the Old Testament, the saints were referred to as the wife of God. Okay, so they were referred to in the gender of a woman. In the New Testament, the saints, the born-again church, is called the bride of Christ. But this woman teaches people and leads people to be intimate with Satan. We had that conversation the other day about what is spiritual fornication. Well, worship to God is the most intimate thing you can do. But when you worship something else, that's fornication. And God calls it spiritual adultery. If you're the wife of God or the bride of Christ, and you're intimate in a worship way with anything else, especially Satan, that's spiritual adultery or fornication. So we're looking for a religious system that, you can write it out to the end, is committing spiritual fornication. Okay? Now, the second thing on this thing is, it says that she sits upon many waters. Okay? Now, the Pope today has said that virtually everyone goes to heaven if they're tied to the Catholic Church. Years ago, it was other religions were accepted. And he came out with that, and everybody was like, because the Catholic teaching for 2,000 years is you cannot go to heaven unless you're a Catholic, baptized in the Catholic Church, and kept up with your confessions. Okay? Now, the Catholic Church has all these abominable teachings. For example, they have the teaching of condolences. So David J., he decides he's going to rob the bank. So David J. goes down to his priest and he says, hey, Father, Friday I'm going to go rob the bank. So what is my punishment before I do it? And the priest says, you're going to rob the bank, huh? Okay. Well, it's, that'd be $500 and bring me back 5%. That's how that stuff works. Or you can go in there and say, I'm committing adultery with my secretary, and we're going to go on a trip next weekend. How much do I pay in advance? It's a condolence. It's an abomination. It's a money-making, they getting something out of it, right? And so on and on and on. And we'll look at all of it, or as much as we can. So he first came out and he said other religions, Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, as long as they were serious in their beliefs. Well, you can be seriously wrong, right? Well, that makes him a whore. The whole system is a whore. Now, then the next thing he said was that when aliens from a different planet get here, they can be saved and go to heaven if they will allow the Catholic Church to baptize them. The man actually said it. It's just a few years ago. You can look it up for yourself. So you're going to go out there and talk to some gray alien into letting a Catholic baptize them. Now, I've had Catholics tell me, we don't believe you have to be baptized. And I said, fool, you can't even get there as an alien unless you're baptized by the Catholic Church. But the last thing that he came out with is you could be an atheist and not even believe in God. And then the other day he came out with any sexual deviant, LGBTQ, could be just as saved as you are and go to heaven. LGBTQF, they call them now. It's lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, queer, and F is for faith. Now, I don't know what they have faith in, but they don't have faith in Jesus Christ. They may have faith in faith. I was in the faith movement. That's exactly what those people have faith in, the faith movement. So you don't have to be a Catholic to go to hell. Let me make that very clear. So now it says she sits, or she's controlling many waters. So let's go back to Revelation 17:15 and see what is the waters. So Peggy, if you will, the next thing would be sets on waters.
I'll put it there, but you want me to put it here?
Yeah. And this says, and he said unto me, the waters, now see, that's, the Bible always will explain itself if you just keep reading. Don't be a kindergartner, and when you see the algebraic questions like, I can't learn that. Yes, you can. The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, has control over, sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So if you want to, just say peoples all over the world, right? The Catholic Church is global, all over the world. Well, the Bible just explained that. She controls the whole world, this whore. So let's go back to Revelation 17, verse 2. And we're going to write these down. Verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Okay, so we got that on there. Spiritual fornication, verse 3. And he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy. So if you will, Peggy, write blasphemy on there, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, so that's our first one, blasphemy. Verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet. So if you will, write down purple and scarlet. You can just write on the outside of blasphemy, it'd be fine. So arrayed. Everybody know what arrayed means? Dressed or clothed or put upon. Purple and scarlet. Now how specific is this when God's telling you to look at what they're wearing? You know, it'd be like I write a book and I say, the Antichrist is a preacher, which he's not, but I'm just using this example. He's a preacher from the Houston area with one of the largest churches in the world. He has really beautiful, oily hair, kinky, curly hair. How many identifiers do you need? Well, you don't need very many. You're going to get about, 10 or more. So we're looking for people that are arrayed or wearing purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Write that down, Peggy. So we're looking for someone that wears purple and scarlet, and they're decked or arrayed or added upon gold, precious stones, pearls. Now, let's keep having a golden cup. So write on there, golden cup. She's affiliated somehow, not a paper cup or a coffee cup, a golden cup. And this golden cup in her hand is full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Well, we've already looked at that, haven't we? The Mass of the Catholic Church. They believe that that cup is turned into the actual blood of Christ. That's filthiness. That's cannibalism. That's abomination. Okay? It's getting pretty specific. So, she is drunk. Verse 5. Yeah. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. Now, the reason why this is called Babylon and why it's called Mystery Babylon is because there is some writings that the first century church used for a code name for Rome, Babylon. But the reason why this church is called Babylon, and it's Mystery Babylon, because it's not in Babylon in Iraq, it's in Rome, Italy. But it's the same teachings that came from old Babylon. It's the same old pagan, devil-worshipping teachings that came from the first Babylon, which was Nimrod. So Nimrod died, right? His wife, Easter, or Isis, or Semiramis, whatever you want to call her, she has a baby. And his name's Tammuz. And she says it was her husband reincarnated. And they worshipped the birth of their god on December the 25th because it was the sun god. And December the 21st is the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, when the sun dies. And then on the 25th, the sun begins to regain its strength and the sun is born. All of that is paganism. Okay? And then Easter is the worship of her son Tammuz. Easter has nothing to do with the Passover or the resurrection or the cross. It's paganism. But the Catholic Church adopted Babylonian sun worship. Now remember, Babylon started with Babel. Nimrod, Semiramis, Tammuz. Then Babylon raises its head when Daniel is taken from Israel and carried off to Babylon. God used Babylon again to destroy Jerusalem. And so that religious teaching was taken up into the Catholic Church. So that's why it tries to tie you to the paganism of Babylon by putting this on her name, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. Now, the mother of harlots means she has some children. All of your Protestant churches are all children of Catholicism. Now, hang on. Baptists are not. Baptists did not protest the Catholic Church. They run for their lives. And they killed most of them. The people that eventually became Baptists ran for their lives in what's known as the Waldian Mountains. And they said it was so terrible terrain, even goats wouldn't go up there. And just a handful of them survived, because they would not allow the Catholic Church to baptize their infants. So they called those people Anabaptist. They were anti-Baptist. Now, do you understand that the Southern Baptist Church is pretty much the only denomination left that doesn't believe and teach that you have to be baptized in order to be saved? Most of your Pentecostals, they believe it. All your Catholics believe it. Your Methodists believe it. Your Nazarenes believe it. Presbyterians, Episcopals, Lutherans. So the ones that got tagged Baptists, they don't believe in baptism. Don't you think that's ironic? Now, your churches like your goofy churches that were started in America, they're not Protestants either. They weren't around when the Catholic Church was protested by these other denominations. For example, the Nazarenes, they're Johnny-come-latelys. All your Pentecostals are Johnny-come-lately from the turn of the century in 1900. So the churches that are actually Protestants, they're also called Reformers, because they did not want to leave the Catholic Church. They wanted to reform it. They wanted to reform it from within, but they pretty much had to. And so then they started calling them Protestants because they protested the Catholic Church. And that all started with Martin Luther's what's called his 95 Thesis, because he sat down one day and wrote down 95 things that he found wrong with the Catholic Church, and he went and nailed it on the door of the church where he was pastoring. But Baptists didn't protest anything. They ran for their lives. Baptists were around way before the Catholic Church, which was started in 325 A.D. at the Council of Nicaea. But Church of Christ, that's Johnny-come-lately. Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses, all of them, they're not Protestants. They were dreamed up by lunatics, Mormons. They're the lunatics in America. So, just a little history there. So, she does have some daughters. Sunday night, I'll show you a video where Kenneth Copeland said that all the Pentecostals and Baptist churches and all the Protestants need to go back under the umbrella of their mother. You know, there's a pastor in town. I thought he was my good friend. I put a video on Facebook one time and I said Kenneth Copeland was a devil. And I capitalized devil, and I meant it. He's devil. And this guy got on there and blasted me and called me every name under the sun because he's a Kenneth Copeland fan. And I said, well, I can't believe you'd pick Kenneth Copeland over me. I'd bought his lunch 1,000 times. How many times Kenny Copeland bought you? You know? And so Sunday we went to Tumbleweeds, and there he was. He come up behind me and said, "How you doing, Pastor?" And just kept on walking. I just thought, yeah, all right, whatever. Hey, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you got it or not, he's a devil. And so's the other guy, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, no. So I don't need to go underneath my mother, because the Catholic Church ain't my mother. Okay? But I guess I don't get along well with others. I got kicked out of whatever I thought was right. Right? So there's an abomination and filthiness in this cup. Now look at the next verse. This is very interesting. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. Now we don't have time tonight, but we're going to, in the next few weeks, we're going to unfold this. That word there, drunken, means intoxicated with the thrill of killing saints. And there's a lot of historical writings that's exactly what they were. From the Catholic Encyclopedia, we'll be citing that. So, she's drunk. So whatever church this is, martyred Christians has murdered more Christians than I think anything else on the planet. So watch what this says, though. She's drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Now that makes a very specific window of time, the last 2,000 years. So Babylon did kill Christians, saints in the Old Testament. When they took Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and a few people that they thought were the best looking and the most athletic and probably the smartest away with them, they killed everybody else. Who did? Babylon did. So they've been doing this for a long time. But this gets specific for John to say that these are the martyrs of Jesus Christ. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Now, look at verse 7. And the angel said unto me, "Wherefore didst thou marvel?" He said, "Why did you marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns." Okay? So we got all these identifiers, and we're going to see if we can identify her. Okay, thank you, Peggy.
Is this right? Should I just say martyred?
Yeah.
Is this right?
Yeah, that's great. All right, here we go. Sit tight. We're going to look at 25 pictures, okay? And we're going to see if this matches up. So, Miss Fox, if you want to start, we'll look at the first picture. Now, remember, this was very specific. The colors of the cardinals and the Pope and the... what do you call the Catholic CIA? Jesuits. All these colors mean something. So in this picture, you see this Pope. He's got on a purple robe. The cardinal with him's got on scarlet. And that's what they wear. But he's decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. That Dagon the fish hat is priceless. And it's one of hundreds. That crucifix on that pole is solid gold. Now, I picked this picture. I went through thousands of pictures. Okay, the other day, my mate catches me in Sunday school. And he said, "Man," he said, I like the way you dress." He said, "You dress fly, man, you're fly." I think he was calling me gay or something in his own, Australian way. I didn't know whether to say thanks or punch him, or I said, "Well, thanks." He said, "No, I've been noticing, man, he said, you've been wearing some shoes that, he said, of course I wouldn't wear them. But he said, back in the day when I was younger, maybe, something like that. So I said, well, thank you. And so I was going through Facebook Marketplace one night, and I see these shoes. They're $185. This woman in Independence just selling all of her husband's stuff and her stuff. And she had them for $40, never been worn. Still in the box. So I said, boy, John really liked them. So I sent her a message. I said, do you ever come to Barsville? She said, I'm coming to Barsville tomorrow. I said, would you take $20? She said, yes. So I met her and I bought them. Well, they're what's called driving loafers. Anybody know what that is? Only poofed in the room, huh? And $185, right? But they're blue suede. So Sunday morning I was going to break them puppies out. But I'd bought a new shirt and it was kind of teal and they were blue. And it clashed. And I'm not gay or nothing, but I try to color, coordinate. Yeah, thank you. So I didn't get to spring them on him yet. But look at this cat. You got a purple sash. You got a white. You got gold. All that's cool. Now the cardinal next to him, he's got on black shoes. Well, that goes with scarlet and white, right? But the Pope wears red shoes. Now, I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what is supposedly true. Those shoes are made by a certain shoemaker in Italy. This person and this family has made these shoes for many, many, many years. And supposedly they're made out of the skin of babies. Now you say, oh, he's crazy. I wish I was in kindergarten. All you got to do is go to Google and type in the red shoe conspiracy. And you'll see people who have now been proved to be the most degenerate, abominable human beings on the planet. And they all, at different times in important places, wear red shoes. And they're not just red shoes. They're red shoes. And most of the time, they don't match anything else. They're all in one red shoe club. Now, I have 25 pictures, and I can't spend that much time on every one of them, but I think that's very eye-opening. Right there in that picture is the two colors to identify this whore religious system 2,000 years ago, written by John. What's the odds? Next picture, Mrs. Fox. Here they are. Half the cardinals got on cardinal red. Some have on purple, meaning different places. And then the black robes are the Jesuits. Now, the first time I believe ever you have a sitting pope who was a Jesuit. But they still have that little creepy looking pope that they made quit, and he's still the pope, and he lives in a house and can't leave. Next picture. Here's the pope, got his Dagon the fish hat. That hat is 5,000 years old, that hat design. Come from, you know where it came from? Babylon. You see, Nimrod, he wasn't just the king of Babylon. He was also the king of, guess where? Nineveh. Well, Nineveh worshiped Dagon the fish god. So here we go. He's got on purple once again. Sitting on a throne. Next. Here he is. He's got on scarlet. And you see scarlet everywhere. You see purple everywhere. Now don't forget, underneath that gold and crusted with jewels and pearls, Dagon the fish hat, he's got a yarmulke on, a half a grapefruit, because he's the king of Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem's got so many kings now, they don't know whether they're coming or going. Next picture. There you see red, purple, scarlet, and purple. Next picture. Now, here's a cup. There's, I went to a funeral in Barnesville at the Catholic Church. They have a cup. They all have a cup. They all raise a cup. A lot of times on their literature, they have a cup. It's all about the communion. It's all about the Mass. The transformation of wine into the blood of Jesus. The cup is the most integral part of their fornication. They all have a cup. But they got a nice cup in Barnesville. He held it up there like that. I was just like, man, I wish I had a beanie flip. Next picture. Now this remember him? Remember old Pope John, whatever he was? The one they shot him? You know, after they shot him, they put that plexiglass, that bulletproof glass, anytime he was out there riding in his Pope mobile. I just always thought that was funny. I mean, if you're God on the earth, do you need plexiglass? Anyway, he's hanging on that cup. How specific does the Bible have to be? Next picture. Here's a cup. He's got purple. Next cup. Next picture. He's got a cup. He's got on glasses. They all wear glasses. How can you convince 2.3, almost 2.4 billion people that you represent God with spectacles on? I do not get it. Next picture. Now, if you look up here, it says that he sits on many, that she rules the whole world. And the kings of the world have committed fornication with her. Right? The Catholic Church controls every major country on the planet. It controls the political people because they have a control of the people. And if the Catholic Church told the people to rise up against the political leader, he'd be done. So they all come to the Pope and they all bow down and kiss his ring. So, you know who he is? Well, he got excommunicated from the Catholic Church, but another Catholic priest took him in. Next picture. Look at that. Two devils giggling. Let me tell you about this going to the Pope to get a blessing. That's what they all go there for. John F. Kennedy went. He knelt down. But John F. Kennedy was a Catholic, right? He knelt down, kissed his ring, got the Pope's blessing. Just a few days after that, he got shot right in plain daylight, in Dallas. His brother, wasn't his brother, Bobby? He did the same thing. He went over there, got his blessing, kissed the ring, and just in a few days later, he was shot and killed. Martin Luther King Jr., in that period of time in America, he went over there. He knelt down as a black Baptist preacher and kissed his ring and got his blessing. A few days after that, he got shot and killed. So I'm not, I don't need that kind of blessing, right? And so let me say this, if I haven't upset you. Too bad it didn't happen to him. You're going to see at the end of 18, it says, when God destroys that city, that the saints rejoice. People don't, they're crazy, man. They're in kindergarten. You've been here, lost my drummer because I said, I wish they'd have shot down Nancy Pelosi's plane, and I still wish it. Next picture. She's a good Catholic. There's Donald Trump. He's shaking his hand, getting his blessing. They all do it. Next picture. Now, you know who that is, don't you? That's the King. King of England. Aren't you supposed to stand and salute? Yeah. Next picture. That's Bashar Assad. That's the king of Syria. Now, he's Muslim, but he married a Catholic woman. But Bashar Assad, there was Christian churches on every corner and Catholic cathedrals on every corner of Syria. You could preach in the streets Christian sermons about Jesus and salvation in Syria. Till we went over there. Bombed them all. Next picture. That's old Vladimir Putin. Next picture. That's the old Prime Minister of Israel. Netanyahu. They all go, don't they? Next picture. Now, you know who he is, don't you? Ukraine, whatever he is, Vladimir, whatever, Zelensky or something. Next picture. This is the king of Saudi Arabia. Next picture. That is the king of Turkey. These guys are Muslims. Next picture. That guy, I think, is the king of Japan or prime minister or whatever they call it. Whatever they call them. And I think it's Japan. Next picture. That's Bashar Assad as well. King of Syria. Next picture. Now, this identifier says that this church is arrayed with stones and pearls and precious stones. There are hundreds of these things, but this one had precious stones and wrapped in pearls and pearls and pearls. So I picked it. It's a crown that is not used. It's just in a museum, but it's priceless. Next picture. Here is one of the unbelievable Dagon the fish god hats. And those are gems. Those are cut stones big as your thumb. Next picture. This is a ring that the Pope wears occasionally. God knows what it's worth. Next picture. That's it? Okay. So we've met, I believe, every qualification. So we got to hurry. The city Vatican, the Roman Church, okay? She is the Roman Catholic Church. The city is called Vatican City. It's its own nation, the city itself. It sets in the nation of Rome, but the Vatican campus is its own city, but it's its own nation. Just like in London City, there is in the center one big block that's London, the city, which is a nation. So this Vatican City in the Catholic Church where it resides is said to be the richest entity on the planet. A city richer than any nation. A city. They guess about its worth. But how do you fix its worth? Do you look at a checking account? Do you look at its holdings? Do you look at its buildings? Do you look at its art? The Catholic Church owns art that's priceless. There is no question. You mean it's richer than America? America's broke. Let me show you something. The city that's worth more than any country. America should be the richest nation ever, but we're not. If I were elected president, I would bring every military person home. I would give them a job of standing shoulder to shoulder on the border all around America and tell everybody else, help yourself. I read the other day that we subsidize like 180-something countries out of the known 192 or 96. That's ridiculous. But we're a whore too. Now, a lot of people say that America is the whore of Babylon. But it doesn't say a country or a nation. It says a city. And then it gives you all of these identifiers. Okay, so I got to go. We are trillions, United States of America. We are trillions in debt. We're not broke. We're way worse than broke. Let me tell you this. We are currently and have been for a long time borrowing money to stay afloat. For the last couple of years, we have borrowed billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to give to Ukraine. These people are not stupid. Most people just think they're stupid. They're incompetent. No, it's planned. You have to be smarter than a kindergartner. It's all planned. I'm going to show you how it works. They borrow $100 billion from China to give to Ukraine. So they give Ukraine $100 billion, and Ukraine gives them back 20%. And the American taxpayer has the bill, and they take 20% and put it in their pocket. Now, this number is a fictitious number. America will never be able to pay that back. But these corrupt politicians have that 20% in their pocket. You understand? That's what's called a bribe. But on the back of... So look at Revelation 17:9. Watch this, another identifier. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads that she sits on are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Okay, well, is there a city that matches all of these identifiers that sits on 7 mountains or 7 hills? All you got to do is Google it. Say a city that sits on 7 mountains or hills. Can you show me that article, Mrs. Fox? When you pick this up, there's a whole list. But what it says right back up there, it says, the title City of 7 Hills usually refers to Rome, which was founded on 7 hills. It doesn't matter how you slice it, it's Rome. One more article. Let's look and see, who do you think owns the most land in the world? Now, Miss Fox, we got to go down quite a ways to get to it because they got all this other stuff. But just keep going down, and what it's going to say, eventually it's going to say, okay, right here. Okay, go back down just a little. Notice what it says, who's first? Okay, it says the United Kingdom, King Charles. Okay. But that's bogus. King Charles don't own all that land that Britain calls their Commonwealth. The people, for example, Australia, people own land in Australia, don't they? In Canada, wherever, all over the world, the British controls it, but they don't own it. Does that make sense? Go to the next one. It's the Catholic Church. Well, the Catholic Church does own it. They own land all over the world. Matter of fact, it's 177 million acres. And the next one closest to it is 87 million. And it doesn't even make any sense. It says Inuit people of Nunavut or something. I don't even know who it is. But this thing lists it as Canada. But then it lists Canada again under the Britain thing. But by far, the person or the entity on the globe is by far and away the Catholic Church. It's the richest entity. It owns the most land. It meets all of these qualifications. So, we're done. We're going to look and we're going to pick it apart. Chapter 17 and 18. And what I hope you get is, don't forget, this woman, this whore, is a city. Okay? Number one. Number two, there's a difference from the whore of Babylon and the Babylon itself. And let me say this. I'll just give you a little sneak peek. I believe that the Catholic Church, for the first 3.5 years, helps the Antichrist to come to power. And then at the middle of the 7-year tribulation, the Bible said that the Antichrist and those other kings hate her. They destroy her. They murder her. When it says eats her flesh, that means murder her. I think halfway through, when the Antichrist has used the Catholic Church to come to power, then he murders it. He destroys it. He takes over the wealth. You know, with one push of a computer button, all the wealth in the banks, the Catholic Church owns banks, can be switched to the man himself. But they hate her. And I think we'll see why. So anyway, thanks for coming tonight. See you at Boomerangs. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for these people. Thank you for such a detailed description of who we're looking for. Can there be any doubt? Not in my mind. God, help us to always let Catholic people know that they can come out of her, that they can trust in Jesus Christ and Him alone. We are saved by the grace of God through faith in Jesus Christ alone, with nothing else. Help us to always be there to help Catholic people, not belittle them or tell them they're going to hell, or but to give them the gospel of Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, folks.